1960. A man wakes before the sun. He works one job. Just one, a single paycheck. And on that one paycheck, he owns his home. He owns his car. His wife does not have to work unless she chooses to. There are 4 children at the kitchen table, and there is food on it. Once a year, the whole family piles into the car and drives to the coast for a week they paid for in cash. He is not rich. He is not a manager or a doctor. He is an ordinary, working man earning an ordinary wage. And by the end of his life, the house is paid off, and there is something left over for the grandchildren. Now ask yourself the question that millions of Americans are asking quietly tonight. How? How did one ordinary paycheck do all of that when today 2 incomes can barely hold a family in place? This is not a feeling. It is not nostalgia playing tricks on you. The numbers are real. They were written down, and what they show will tell you exactly what we had and exactly what we lost. If you grew up in that America, you remember it in your body before you remember it in your head. You remember a father who left for the plant, or the yard, or the shop every morning and came home tired but certain. You remember a mother who ran the household like a business, because it was one. You remember that nothing was thrown away if it could be fixed, that money came in an envelope or a paper check, and that the word debt was something to be ashamed of, not something the bank mailed you inside a plastic card. That world was not perfect, but it worked in a way ours does not. And tonight, we are going to walk back into it slowly and understand exactly why. Start with the single most important number, because everything else grows out of it. In 1960, the United States Census recorded that the median American family earned about $5,600 a year. That same year, the median American home was worth about $11,900. Now hold those 2 numbers next to each other. A house cost roughly twice what a family earned in a single year. Twice. Today, across much of the country, a home costs 5, 6, even 7 times a family's yearly income. That one shift from 2 to 6 is not a small thing. It is the whole story. It is the reason a single paycheck stretched across an entire life in 1960, and the reason 2 paychecks strain to cover that same life today. So, let us walk through how it actually worked, piece by piece, the way your parents lived it. It began with the house. A young couple did not wait until their 40s to buy. They bought in their early 20s, and they bought small. A new home in that era was often under 1,000 square feet, 2 or 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, no great room, no walk-in closet, no second garage. It was modest, and it was theirs, and the mortgage took a small enough bite out of one paycheck that the family could still eat, still save, still breathe. Within 20 or 25 years, a great many of those homes were owned free and clear, paid off, no payment at all. Try to imagine, tonight, what your own life would feel like with no house payment. That was simply the normal ending to an ordinary working life. Then there was the car. 1 car usually, not 1 for each adult and a third in case. 1, and it was kept running for 10 years, 15 longer, because the man of the house knew how to keep it running. A weekend under the hood was not a hardship. It was just Saturday. When something broke, you fixed it. When a part wore out, you replaced the part, not the whole machine. The same logic ran through the entire house. Shoes were resoled, socks were darned, the toaster was opened and repaired, not tossed in a bin. A good coat lasted 20 years. None of this was poverty. It was competence. It was a household that produced, instead of only consuming. And here is a cost that quietly made the whole thing possible, one almost nobody talks about. Healthcare. In 1960, medical care cost the average American around $124 for the entire year. You went to the doctor and you paid the doctor, often in cash, often that same day. There was no monthly premium swallowing a week's wages before you had even seen a nurse. The thing that drains the modern family every single month, before rent, before food, simply was not there in the same way. The mother's work mattered too, and it mattered in dollars, even though no dollar ever showed up for it. She was not idle. She ran a full operation. She grew food in the garden and canned it for winter. She cooked 3 meals a day from raw ingredients, not from boxes. She sewed and mended and stretched. She managed the money with a discipline that would humble most financial advisors today. The cash came in, and before a cent of it was spent, it was divided. Some into the envelope for rent, some for food. Some, always some, set aside first into a passbook savings account or a Christmas club at the bank. Families bought on layaway, not on credit. They saved up for the thing, and then they owned the thing. Debt was the rare exception, not the foundation. Put all of it together, and you see it clearly. A modest paid-off house, 1 repairable car, cheap, cash-paid medicine, a household that produced much of what it consumed, and money that was divided and saved before it was ever spent. That is how one ordinary wage built an entire life. Not a secret, not a trick, a structure. So what happened to it? The honest answer is not a villain in a back room. It is a slow tide and 3 costs that broke loose from wages and never came back. The house, the doctor, and the diploma. Home prices climbed far faster than paychecks, decade after decade, until that ratio of 2 doubled and doubled again. Healthcare went from $124 a year to many thousands, and moved from your pocket to a monthly bill you can never miss. College went from optional and cheap to mandatory and crushing. And as families sent a second earner out to work to keep pace, something cruel happened. That extra income did not make families richer. It got bid straight into the price of the houses and the tuition, so that 2 incomes quietly became the new minimum, just to stand where 1 income used to stand. Economists even have a name for it now. They call it the 2-income trap. Your grandparents did not need a second paycheck because the economy of their time did not yet demand one. And here is the part the money channels will never say to you. You were not imagining it. The old way really was better in this one exact sense. A single, ordinary, honest day's work used to be enough to build a whole life, and somewhere along the way that promise was quietly broken. That is not your failure. It was never your failure. The men and women who lived the 1-paycheck life were not smarter than you, and they did not earn more in real terms. They lived inside an economy that let an ordinary wage mean something. Understanding that, really understanding it, is the first step toward building back even a piece of it in your own life. The smaller paid-off house, the cash cushion that no emergency can shake, the things you fix instead of replace. The household that runs like it has a purpose again, not because a video sold you a money trick, because your own parents already proved with their lives that it can be done. If this brought back a memory tonight, the smell of your father's work jacket, the sound of your mother's sewing machine, a house that was small and full and paid for, then leave 1 word in the comments. Remember, we read every single one, and if you want to keep walking back into the America where a dollar still meant something, stay with us and subscribe. Next time we are opening the kitchen drawer and the workshop bench and looking at the everyday things every household once repaired instead of throwing away, and the quiet reason we forgot how. We will see you there.